nice and brown. Oh, it's smelling absolutely gorgeous. Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of Quizine TV, where we quiz the cuisine. And today, Chef Pasha is back. I'm going to be cooking another dish from one of our food adventures that we've done recently. And today we are going back to Afghanistan. We tried some incredible food, and one of the dishes that we had that I absolutely loved was the mantu. Now this was effectively the Afghan dumpling. So we're going to be reproducing the Afghan dumpling here at home, and it's going to be glorious. Afghanistan was one of the sort of central points in the old Silk Road, so it brought together flavors from the Far East, from Persia, from India, from the Mediterranean, and all of these things came together and merged into a type of cuisine, and the mantu really represents that story of intermixing, of fusion from loads of different cultures. So there's effectively 4 parts to this dish, which I'm going to take you through. We're obviously going to have to create the content that goes inside the dumpling. That's mincemeat in this case, so we're going to make that. We're going to make the actual dumpling pastry as well. We're going to show you how to do that. We also need to put together a mint and yogurt sauce, which is very common in Afghan cuisine and also very integral to this dish. And also we're going to put together that lentil type sauce that is smothered, and you just use it to lather it all over the dumpling. Okay guys, so the first thing we are going to do is start putting together that incredible lentil sauce. The lentils were washed and soaked for about 30 minutes or so. So we're going to use these. This is channa dhal, which is the sort of thick lentil, and this is great because it provides almost like a nice bit of bite to the mantu. First things first, we are going to add some oil to this dish. So I'm going to put in about 6 tablespoons of oil, maybe a little bit more. 6 tablespoons. Okay, now to add our spices. So we're going to chuck in 2 cloves of garlic. That's just been chopped. In that goes. Then we're going to add 1 teaspoon of chilli powder. We are also going to add 1 teaspoon of turmeric to get that beautiful colour in. In that goes some black pepper. Again, 1 teaspoon of this stuff. Then we're going to add 1 teaspoon of the brilliant coriander powder. In that goes. Just make sure all those lovely spices start coming together nicely. You should start to see this dark sauce start to develop. Now, for your 500 grams of lentils, you're going to need about half a can of canned tomato, that is. So in that goes. Let's give that a little bit of a mix. Just look at that, absolutely delicious. And now, finally, we're going to add the incredible lentils. And almost forgot about this bad boy. Don't forget salt. Let's put 1 teaspoon of some salt in there. For me, salt is the key, the crucial key to unlocking all the flavors in a dish. Without salt, you're really going to miss out on those flavors because they're just going to be locked away, and we don't want that. I love this lentil addition to the dumpling. I think that's what makes these dumplings quite distinct from any other type of dumpling in the world, is that lentils are smothered on them, which make them so delicious and add this whole new dimension to the dish. Okay, so now just before we sort of put the lid on and let this cook for a bit, we're going to add the water. I'm going to add about 300 milliliters, and then if I need to add more I will, but I'll have to see how it goes. So I'm just going to pour in about 300 milliliters there, because these lentils really are going to soak up a lot of the water. So what you really want to do is, once you've added the water, just give it a little bit of a mix, and then basically start the cooking. Put it on here for about 20 minutes or so on a medium heat. That should do the trick. Come back and check in on it regularly. Give it a stir if you need to, just to make sure, you know, the bottom doesn't burn. But if it's on a medium heat, that shouldn't happen. That's it for now with the lentils. We're going to move on now to the next step. Okay guys, so whilst the lentils are cooking away, I'm now going to start preparing the dough. So that's the second part of this 4-part extravaganza. So how am I going to do that? Well, I've got 500 grams of flour here, and I've got some water, got a bit of salt, and I've got a bit of oil, and that's basically all you need to make the outer layer of the mantu, to make the pastry. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a tablespoon of oil to my flour. Then I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. And then what you basically got to do is add water to the flour and start mixing. So in goes the water. Alright, time to start mixing. So basically we're just going to mix and mix and mix until this forms into a bit of a dough. Right, so the kneading is done, and that's taken all the energy out of me. But now, just to finish off, we're going to add 1 more tablespoon of oil, and we're effectively just going to use this to coat our piece of dough, and that adds a lovely nice little glaze to it, but will also help it to sort of set. We're going to leave this for about half an hour or so. It would be a good idea to cover it. You can use cling film, you can use a towel. I'm going to use a plate just to cover it. In the meantime, we're going to start on our mincemeat. So we're going to start off with some oil, just to sort of get the pan going. Add about maybe a tablespoon. I'll give you guys the full list of ingredients in the description below. A lot of the times, to be fair, I just play it by eye. But yeah, first thing we're going to do effectively to get our mincemeat content ready is put oil in the pan and start browning our mincemeat. So, in with our mincemeat. We just really want to brown this mincemeat off for now before adding any spices to it. And so as you can see here, our mincemeat has now browned pretty much. Before it was all pink. Now you can barely see any pink as it's browned. And we're just going to start adding our seasoning now. A bit of salt goes in. 3, maybe 4 cloves of garlic. Let's also get some black pepper in. Absolutely love black pepper. I'm going to put a bit of cumin in next. About half teaspoon of that should do the trick. Let's pop in some coriander powder. And let's start mixing a bit again. You can see that water is really starting to come out as we cook this meat. So we're almost there now. I'm just going to keep this on the fire for a couple of minutes. We just want the water really to evaporate. Once all that water is gone, we're going to add the sort of finishing touches, as it were, a couple more items to this mincemeat. So keep that going for a couple of minutes. Our mincemeat is pretty much as clear as it can be from water. Most of the water is evaporated now. And now what we're going to do is add some onions. So I've chopped up about 2 onions here, and I'm just going to bung them in. And really and truly, you add the onions near the end because they cook a lot quicker than the meat. Now it's time to add the final ingredient, and that is coriander leaves. So we add our fresh coriander to our mincemeat mix. We're pretty much there. Do that bit of a mix. This is going to be such a good filling. And so our meat is pretty much done, to be honest, as you'll be able to see from here. It's nice and brown. Oh, it's smelling absolutely gorgeous. And this is going to make up our dumpling. What we're going to do now is just let it cool down. It's important that you allow a bit of time for this to cool down. Otherwise, if you add it piping hot like this into your dumpling, you're going to effectively melt the pastry. So make sure you give it sufficient time to cool. So while that's doing, we're going to be making the yogurt mint sauce. So in order to make this crucial sauce, these are the ingredients you need. So this is some fresh Greek style yogurt. We've got some finely chopped bits of fresh mint, finely chopped bits of garlic, and we also have some salt. So let's begin by adding this into our bowl. Then we're going to add the mint. Obviously there's no particular order here, you just bung everything in. In goes our garlic. Absolutely love garlic. We're going to add basically some salt to taste. And now we get mixing. And that is literally it. And this is going to make the base of our wonderful mantu dish. Right, so next up now we want to start putting together our pastry effectively, and then get it ready to sort of stuff it with that amazing minced meat. Now what we want to do is just effectively tear chunks of this off and roll it out and cut it into square shaped pieces. Let's put a bit of flour on the surface first, just to make sure it doesn't stick. Just tear a little bit off. Oh, this is exactly how it should be, by the way. When you poke it, it should just come back to its form. Nice and stretchy and elasticy, as you can see from here. So, we get a bit of this. What we're going to do is roll this out until it's nice and flat. Look at that, brilliant. And obviously when you're rolling out, don't worry too much about the shape that it takes, because we are going to cut it into the shape that we want. So now that we've rolled this out into this strange triangular looking form, we're going to cut it into squares. So then we've got 8 squares. So now we're going to grab that mincemeat that we made prior. It's nice and cool now because we've given it enough sufficient time to cool. And what we're going to do is just get about 2 teaspoons worth of mincemeat and just pop it in the middle of our pastry. You don't want to put too much in because otherwise you're going to struggle to keep it contained once you cook it, and it's all just sort of going to explode. So that's in the middle. What you want to do now is grab each corner. So we've got 2 corners here. We grab and we conjoin. We're going to do the same here, and final side too. And what you're going to do is seal all the cracks. We don't want anything going inside these cracks. Similarly, we don't want anything coming outside these cracks. Make sure it's all nice and tight. And once you've done that, you should have a square, a funny looking square shaped parcel almost. And what you do is you can just grab 2 of the sides and merge them together like so, and do the same here on this side, and then do a sort of twist here. And what you will end up with is this lovely looking dumpling, and that is basically what the Afghan mantu looks like before it's cooked. So just put that aside on some flour on a plate. What we're going to do is steam our dumpling, that amazing mantu. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by getting a little bit of oil and just applying it to our steaming pan. There's boiling water beneath this, and obviously just by adding this bit of oil we're going to ensure that the mantu doesn't stick. So what we do is we just place it on. So you want to steam these probably for about 5 minutes or so, and that should cook the pastry. Effectively what we're trying to do now is cook the pastry because the meat is pretty much cooked inside. Right, it's my favourite time of the entire process. It's time to plate up. First things first, you're going to grab your mint sauce, that amazing mint yogurt sauce that we made, and you're going to begin by putting it on the plate. And then we pop on the mantu. And then of course comes the exceptional lentils that we made earlier. Another layer of this beauty goes on, like so. We're going to finish off with some fresh coriander. And there you have it, the Afghan MANTU, ladies and gentlemen. One of my favorite dishes. It's time to tuck in. Here we go. Oh wow, that is so good. The garlic and the mint is really strong, and the yogurt is quite tangy. Then we've got the chilliness and the spiciness from the lentils, provides a little bit of a bite. Obviously a bit of chew from the dumpling, from the pastry, and inside you've got that wonderful minced meat with those caramelized onions, which give it a little bit of sweetness. You've got every kind of flavor. It's a wonderful dish. It all comes together so well. That is delicious, and I really recommend you guys try and cook this at home. That brings us to the end of this episode. I really hope that you guys like this video, and I hope you try making this dish at home and enjoy doing that too. And make sure to subscribe to our channel, like this video, leave a comment, let me know. Have I done a good job? If you're an Afghan and you cook this all the time and eat this all the time, have I done a good job, or have I absolutely ruined this dish? Make sure to subscribe, like and comment, share this video with everyone you know. Let's get our subscribers up. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.